Unbroken, the podcast, with Madeleine Black, healing through storytelling.
Welcome to Unbroken, the podcast with me, Madeleine Black, where I am collecting stories of all the amazing people that I have met along my journey. And my guest today is someone that I heard once on the radio. I was listening to Jeremy Vine and I was just compelled to get in contact with her because her story blew me away, and I know it will blow you away. And we've now become really great friends. So my guest today is Hibo Wardere. Hibo is a campaigner against female genital mutilation, FGM, an author and a speaker. At the age of 6, she was the victim of type 3 FGM, an event she described as being engulfed from pain from head to toe. Every day for the next 10 years, she sought answers from her mother, but was always denied a response. When she was 16, she finally struck a deal with a relative who promised to tell her everything about what happened to her after her wedding night. She was horrified by the revelations, and she soon fled to London after the Civil War broke out in 1989 when she was just a teenager. She currently works as a mediator and an FGM educator in partnership with Waltham Forest Borough. Her testimonials and campaigning work have made her one of Britain's most prominent campaigners about FGM, and she has appeared in numerous publications, including the Telegraph, the BBC, Hello Magazine, and The Guardian, to name a few. So welcome, Hibo. Thank you for joining me on Unbroken. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much, Madeleine. What an introduction. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you today because you're like my sister. You really are a sister to me in so many ways.
You are my sister.
I'm honored you asked me to talk to you today.
We wouldn't be the same without you. So my very first question that I ask everyone who comes onto the show is, what does the word unbroken mean to you?
Unbroken means, you can be broken in so many ways, but unbroken for me means like your spirit is there, the core of you is there, everything about you, your essence is there. It was never broken. It was just under the rubbles of pain. And for me, that means you were unbroken in the first place. You are just buried by your pain.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I, obviously, after I spoke to you when we connected on the radio, after hearing you on the radio, I read your book, Cut, which I think everybody should read. I really thought I knew a lot about FGM, but I was educated so much. It is really horrific. It's no easy way to describe it. Horrific.
It is cruel. It is horrific. It is brutality. It is butchering. I've run out of words to describe how awful, awful, awful female genital mutilation is, and to witness it and to know that you went through it and to witness your own brutality, as you know and I know, it's the worst. It's the worst feeling to have, and psychological, emotional impact on that alone is just crazy. But it's the one of the worst forms of child abuse. I will put it on. I'll say that. Yeah.
Before we go back to that day, just tell me what life was like for you before you were 6, growing up in Somalia.
It was a really happy, carefree life. I was a shadow of my mom. I loved hanging out with my mom. I loved hanging out with all of them because you didn't have anybody else to hang out with. Males weren't allowed to mix up with females, so all you had was your mom and your, extended aunties and family members. So I was just like that, very happy. We had animals in the house. It was just great, carefree. You were doted on. You were like treated like a queen by your own family members. And I was the youngest in the family, so you can imagine the attention. Everything I did, everybody went, "Whoo!" The attention was.
You were the baby.
Yeah, so it was. I had an amazing upbringing at that time.
And then you turned 6.
Yes.
And without you knowing, this had been organized.
Yeah.
On your behalf, can you tell us what happened?
It was like, the thing about that, I think looking back, and I always use this word, is it's grooming, because you never know what's in store, you never know what's going to happen, yet there's a massive preparation going on your own. Everybody's been extra kind with you. Words are thrown at you like you're going to be a woman, you're going to be amazing, you're going to be this and that. there's a, hat being erected behind your house, and you don't know what is that for. Everybody's, all the females are spending a lot of time, days to build it up, but you've got no idea what's going to happen in that hut, who's going to be in that hut.
Everyone else knew apart from you what was taking place.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you are in the dark, you didn't know nothing about this, yet you are made to feel something amazing and beautiful is going to happen, and it's about you and you becoming a woman. What's a 6-year-old knows about being a woman? You
So
just feel like I'm going to be one of you,
yeah.
able to wear their, coal eyes and stuff. I love the coal eyes. I even have that obsession even today. It was just, I just felt like I want to be one of you, and to be told you can be one of them was just massive, massive
So
at that
you
moment.
got caught up in all the excitement
Yes,
until you were taken to the hut.
yes, yes. Until that morning, my mom holds my hand and we go into the hut, and what happened in the hut was just cruelty in so many ways you can imagine. And as a child who was absolutely happy, carefree, everything, within minutes, less than an hour, your whole world has just been turned upside down. And it's the most cruelest thing to be to be exposed to, and to be for them to to put a 6-year-old down and hold her and pull her dress, expose her nakedly, and then pull her legs apart. And some people that you don't know are doing that to you. The worst part is people that you don't know are doing that to you. And a lady sitting in front of you taking the erasers and start chopping off your genitals. There's no words to describe what that is. Under anesthesia, you don't have any medication to help you with pain. You just sex. And even talking about it, even today as a 51-year-old, it's still, I have
Oh,
sensations. I
yeah,
get
it
sensations into my
really,
body.
it's
Yeah.
just so hard to imagine. And your mum was in the hut with you at the
She
time.
was in the hut. She was in the hut. She was standing there. She looked away because I think I screamed so hard I lost my voice within minutes.
Mm.
And after that, I just gave up on, your body. I just gave in. I gave in to the pain because there's nothing else you can do. You're
And
6 years old.
you'd never met this cutter before. I know you told
No, I have never met the cutter before. I never met the one who's holding me from my chest, that I'm sitting between her legs. I don't know her. I only know my mom and my auntie, and the other one who's holding my leg. I don't know her either. It's just such a cruelty to be in a, in that sense as a child. People that you love are on the one side, and people that you don't know are on this side, and they're the ones hurting you. But the ones that you loved are part of that. They're not doing the act, but they are worse, worse people than the people that do an act to you, because you know them,
you
you
trust
love them.
them.
So you trust them. It was just crazy. I was just literally butchered. I was. And
And you say it was type 3 for people that don't
type
know.
3,
Can
which
you
means,
explain what type
yeah.
3 is?
So there's a three types to FGM that under the WHO, there's a three types that's listed that you can see illustrated pictures. So type 1 is called the clitordectomy, which is total or partial removal of clitoris. Type 2 is excision, again is either total or partial removal of clitoris, plus some of the labia majora is removed. Type 3, the one that I underwent, is called infibulation, which is a total removal of your labias, your vaginal lips, which is in and outer labia minora, labia majora is removed. Whatever's left, you stitched up, leaving you with tiny hole like a matchstick. Now that hole
I
is
have
where you're supposed
seen
to be.
the
Yeah,
posters that you post up on Twitter and all over social media because you're very
yeah.
vocal. You don't hide what happened.
No,
You
no,
are an
I don't.
educator, and
For
it's
me, I feel like they hid it from me. For me, I felt like I didn't know what's going to happen. There's no way in the world this should be hidden. There's no way in the world I will feel if I put this up, or if I say that, somebody will feel, oh, why did she do that? Oh my goodness, I can't do that. That's your own, that's your own judgment and the way you look at it. For me, there's no way to hide that. There's no way to sugarcoat my words. There's no way I'm going to do that. I want it to be open. I want everybody to understand it. I want everybody to see what this is, actually visually see what it is. And it is the most, I even look at it again and again, the illustrated pictures, and I just can't comprehend. Why did you do that to us? Why?
because
I
it's
still can't.
basically removal of all your vaginal lips and your clitoris, and then
You
you're
don't
stitched
have
up and left
nothing.
with a tiny, tiny hole to pee through.
you do not have nothing. All you are is a flat wall, literally flat wall, completely. You know when they cement the wall, and it's a smooth or nothing. You have that, but you have scarring there, and you just have a tiny hole. That's it. You don't have nothing that women should be having, which is your labias and your clitoris, and all those things are not there anymore. So you are kind of robbed of your body part massively. You are robbed of your body part. Yeah.
And you explain in the book how afterwards the recovery, the pain, the infections, learning to pee again took you
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes at a time.
Yes, yes. As a child, when you can go to the toilet normal, we quickly and come out. It completely everything just changed. You try to go and urinate like a normal human being, it just doesn't come out. However much you push it, it doesn't come out. It just comes out as a drip, 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 and you end up sitting there and thinking, when am I going to finish that? And that also gives you infections and all kind of things, because as a child you don't wait that to finish. You want to go and play with your friends or do something else. You are in a hurry. Even a child today will go toilet, maybe sometimes they don't finish, they come out. It's because it's a children. You are like that, and you end up having a lot of infections and abdominal infections. It was just a nightmare, nightmare.
And what did it do to your relationship with your mum afterwards?
Wow. um, Funny thing about that is I never stopped loving my mother. I never did. It's just I couldn't bring myself to be the way I was before. I
You must
couldn't.
have been so confused though as this little 6-year-old girl.
Massively, 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 because I couldn't comprehend in my head, how were you my mother and how did you do that? How were you there and how you didn't protect me? How did you do it? I just could not comprehend. And it was like she will come and she will try to hug me, and I would just move away or run away or do something. It was just I could not break that wall that immediately went up after that. I couldn't break it, and I couldn't break it for years and years after that, because it was, I just could not understand, how did you do that? Worst part is you knew what this was, you knew how painful it was, you knew everything, you've experienced it yourself, so how did you think this was okay? And for me it just propelled me into a different person.
And you never explained it to you. It was a relative who later on explained it to you.
Yes, a cousin of mine who I couldn't understand where girls, when they got married and then they left, we didn't see them for months, and then they come back. They look so horrible, so, so thin, so gaunt. I just knew something was up. When for me, the minute I was cut, my senses just went height. They were heightened of everything that was going on, and I couldn't trust one person, one word they said. But this
Your
cousin was,
world was a safe, happy place, and then your world
yeah,
was suddenly unsafe, and it changed completely.
unsafe,
You would have had
unsafe.
PTSD without a doubt.
Yeah, and unpredictable, everything that ever, even if I saw my mom and auntie talking, whispering, I assumed something evil's about to take place again. It just made me nervous. Sometimes I will vomit because of that. It just made me feel like anybody come into my room, they're going to take me away, something else is going to happen. I can't tell you how you felt after that. And my cousin, who was amazing, who still is an amazing, promised that she will tell me what happens after the wedding, because we didn't know why girls didn't come back for so long, and when they came back, why they were so distant and they looked so thin, and
Oh,
why were they
that's my
sick?
dog. Just ignore my dog.
Okay, why was every girl sick? Why were we told they were sick in hospital every time they left to get married? Aren't they supposed to be happy? So I just had many questions running in my head, but I kind of also knew something sinister must be happening for these girls to get sick. I just didn't know who to ask, because no one talks to
And
you.
what did she say to you then, your cousin? How did she
She
explain it?
comes, she comes back after months as well, and we were told again she was not well, she's in the hospital, this and that. And I'm praying to God that she comes in, and she comes in one evening, and I'm all over her like a rash. How are you? What's happened to you? Why do you look like this? Why you lost so much? Tell me, you promised. I kept on repeating that word. You promised. You promised. And she kept her promise. And when she said to me, consummating marriage was the worst thing ever in life, and her explanation was saying that how you can't pee, yes, and you see the rolling pin, yes, rolling pin needs to go in there. And for me, I just remember feeling my whole world even crushed more, thinking,
How is that going to get inside me?
how, why, haven't we not had enough? Why is this going? What for me, my head just went into million other different directions. And all I did was just pray in a corner of the room, pray, and say, please God, I don't know what I've done in my former life. I've paid enough. I really have. Don't put me through, that pain again. I don't want to go through that. It was just a realization of everything that's happened. There's still more pain to come. And then I've decided to think about the whole world, which is pain giving birth, pain getting married, pain. I just thought every little thing is going to be pain. And for me, that is one thing that I didn't want to happen anymore. I just couldn't handle any more pain. I couldn't.
And you had a procedure done when you came to the UK to help you?
Yes, I came to my UK, my beloved UK, and first thing I did was go and get help and just explain to doctors that I just want to be normal again. I want to have periods normal again. I'm tired, and I was given that help, and they call it the infibulation, where they open you and they expose your urethra, which is where your wee passes, so you can wee, and your vagina hole is exposed properly, so you can have your periods. It was just relief to have that.
Yeah, well, it would make you feel some more like a woman, but I imagine if they take your clitoris away, then you don't get pleasure.
That has a massive consequences for women. You have a sexual dysfunction. It's not something that you can't get over that. You can work with your partner and get over that. But in our communities, we do not talk about sex at all. You mention sex and women go, oh my God, don't say that. And I always ask question, how many kids you've got? 7, 8. Clearly you've had sex.
Yes,
So let's
few
talk
times.
about it.
More than
So
once.
it's like it's a very taboo subject, and it absolutely blocks you because you have this thing where you have a massive connection where when it comes to your genitals, anything's happening, it's a trauma. Because as a child, when your genitals were touched, it was trauma. So that plays a massive part
So
in
you can have
you.
a flashback in the middle of
Oh,
making love with your
every
husband.
time,
Or,
every
yeah.
time, every time. It just blocks you completely, and you can't move or have any intercourse unless you really get help and you really get therapy. You really understand your body. You really have to reacquaint yourself with your genitals and actually say, actually, I am designed to feel and to get pleasure out of it, rather than just say it's trauma, 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 trauma. So it does cause sexual dysfunction, but you can't get sexual pleasure if you work on it.
With a good partner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Your partner is the key.
Yeah, where does the idea of FGM come from? Because it's not a religious thing, it's more
No,
a
no.
cultural thing, really, isn't it?
It is. It's not in Torah. It's not in Quran. It's not in Bible. It's not in everybody book of belief. It actually predates religion. And in our community, specifically my Somali community, we call it Pharaoh's cat because it was pharaohs who introduced it over 3,000 years ago. And it's actually pharaohs who introduced it to the most of the countries, especially in African countries, Middle Eastern countries. They are the ones who introduced it. And for us, that is what's associated with the pharaohs is the FGM. And pharaohs actually used it as a, what do you call it, sexual control over their servants. They actually, did that to the women so that they don't disturb the men when the men were working. And men also, some of them were literally, some of their, they were disturbed as well, because what was it called, that word called, when the men can't perform, they did something to them so they can't feel any sexual pleasures as well. So they were both designed to work, and never to have a desire of wanting to have sex with a man or a woman or whatever it is. So they used it as a sexual control mechanism for them. So they brought that to every other country as well that they visited.
And there's some idea that they think it makes a woman cleaner.
Some communities actually do believe the clitoris makes us smell unhygienic, and that's why they remove it. Some believe like it's a part of being a woman, and the danger with that sentence is if the girl is 10 or 11 and she's cut, that community deems her ready for marriage and everything, which is a child bride, again, innocent girl who her body and her mind and her soul is not ready for anything, is forced into marriages. Forced marriages are associated with it. Some communities believe it's a religion requirement, but it's not. It's practiced by Christian, Muslim, Jews, and non-believers as well. It's something that
And I
is
imagine it's
absolutely,
men that make these decisions, is it?
yes,
Men's
they
decision over a woman's body.
Yes, and the communities that practice it mostly it's driven by men. If the girl is not cut, they don't believe she's virgin, and if the girl is not cut, she's not worth it to pay for any dowry. So you are becoming also an asset and commodity for your family as well when you're cut, because they will get high dowry on you. So it's a crazy how our bodies just used like that in every way you can think of.
And we know now there has been laws passed and it is meant to be illegal, but it still goes on. And people are surprised to hear it even goes on in the UK, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And we had a prosecution, what you call it, 2 years ago, I think, was it 2019 or 2018? Sorry, I'm becoming menopause. I can't remember unless I look. Yeah,
Been there, done that.
yeah, first prosecution just happened, and UK made it illegal in 1985, but no one has ever been prosecuted because the government didn't bother, telling these laws to the, communities that live in their countries. They just made and left it somewhere at the back of the cupboard or whatever, and the communities just realized this is illegal and it's considered to be child abuse just few years ago, while survivors started speaking and demanding the government to do something and change the laws to protect the girls in here. So it does happen in UK, yes.
Yeah. So you call the UK your beloved UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, when you came here, I've seen photos of you from years ago when you arrived. You were very quiet, very shy, very withdrawn, and now you are this vivacious woman, always dressed head to toe in these beautiful colours. You are infectious. Your smile. How did you go from being this quiet, retreated,
Yeah.
withdrawn young woman to being
Yeah.
this educator, this speaker that you are now?
I was such all my days. I was such a quiet person. Didn't say nothing and just kept to myself. Years and years I did that. I let this practice, silence me completely. From I wasn't a sociable person. I never dared to leave my house. I always in my house. I always cooked. I always cleaned. I just made myself busy, and to go and the littlest things in life changes who you are. And to go to a school and say, can I come and volunteer, just to volunteer because I couldn't stand the house anymore, was the trigger that I needed. And it triggered me, and it's because of a 10-year-old girl that I wrote in the book that I was looking after her, and it turns out school had a suspicion, literally turned me upside down, which was, she looked like me first. She was very, very skinny. She didn't like food just the way I was, and she just seemed very timid. And it was
You
me all over.
recognize the signs.
Yeah, and I just thought, no way can I just run away from this anymore. I've done enough running. That's it. She triggered me, and it was because of her that I decided to write a very angry essay, bad, broken English grammar, punctuation, you name it, didn't matter. Wrote about it and give it to the head teacher, and it was that assignment that literally changed me. And that head teacher had a massive impact on who I became later. It was if
They
it
then
wasn't.
they invited you then to share your story with the school, didn't
Yeah,
they?
which it wasn't an easy one. I didn't want to, so he just couldn't stop asking me every single day until relentlessly I gave in. And talking about it to my, my workmates, amazing, amazing workmates, was the beginning. The way they reacted literally showed me that I can talk about this, and my rage and my anger that I kept for years and years and years just came to the service, and it was. I wanted to scream so that everybody can hear it. Literally felt it's about time I started screaming and not hiding from it. And since then, I've never looked back. I just went
You've never
on.
stopped screaming since then.
No,
Never stopped speaking out. But it's
no,
so important. After reading your book, I remember walking past, an African woman with a headdress on or something, thinking, have you been cut?
yeah,
Have you been cut?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
made the awareness of like, oh my gosh, could be people I
yeah,
know that I speak to, no
yeah,
idea that they've been butchered, in their home country or taken
yes,
away and brought back. And
yeah.
yeah, really opened my eyes.
I just wanted everybody to know. And then you went to Jeremy Vine's show, which is amazing human being, and he got the book. He was one of the people that was sent to read the book because he likes reading.
Mhm.
And he came back saying he's never read anything like it, and he said he treasures his daughters more than ever after reading the book, and invited us in to come in when the book is released. and it just propelled me. The book propelled me to different stage, and I'm a very lucky human being that I've been given so many platforms.
Well, it's not just luck. It is, you are authentic, you are real, you say it exactly how it is. There's no hiding anything now. So all those years of being silent, you have made up for it now, and you speak the truth, and you are lovable. You are very lovable.
And it's been amazing, and given such a platforms is just a blessing. And I always go when I'm giving talks, I will always think with myself, should I change my words? I'm like, nope, this is how I am. I'm going to
Speak
talk the
from the
way I
heart.
talk.
But you're
Yes.
not, but you don't always get a good response. You do have
No.
some people that know you are the woman who went to my girls' school and you're the one who spoke about FGM.
Yes.
How dare you tell her not to be cut? And can you
Yes.
speak more about that?
I do get that. I do get parents who will recognize me because I've become this recognizable face who teaches, school, especially in my area. And some of them are quite angry, and they will say, one of them was on the bus. That was about years ago, and she wore, face covering, and we were sitting next, and she said, "Yeah, you were there," and I said, "Yeah." You went to my girls' school, and I'm thinking, yeah, you're very angry. In my head, I'm like, oh, this could sound bad. And she's like, why did you tell my dad? Who gave you the right to speak? And I said, she gave me the right to speak about it. She has a right to know. Yeah, she's
How
a
do you
child.
feel when
Yeah,
you get that reaction?
I just felt in. I just didn't want to scream in the bus. I knew I'm gonna be taken off, and I don't want. I was very tired while coming from work, and I just looked at her and I went, "Listen, your child has a right to be told what can harm them. Okay? They're in UK. They're children's UK children. UK children have a right to. And if you have a problem with that, well, that's your problem." And she was screaming, and I honestly did think that she might want to harm me or something. So I moved away. But the good thing was the bus driver told us both to shut up and you're disturbing others. And I did. She did. And she continued. So she was thrown out of the bus. And I
It's
continued.
hard when people are so conditioned and their beliefs are so set
Oh
that
my
they just
goodness.
thought that was the right way to go. Can't see
Uh,
it as the child abuse that it is.
I get a lot of messages as well on my messenger. Some of them I share on my Facebook. As you on my Facebook, you can see it's crazy what I get, but also it's over eclipsed by the positive that
Absolutely.
I get, especially the young women who I'm so shocked on how much they want to go and get the infibulation, but unanimously don't want to tell their parents.
Mm.
They don't want. That was me. I never told my mom until 10 years later. I never explained to her what I did when I came to this country.
And
The thing is, these are the history is repeating itself. All these girls don't want to know, don't want their mom to know they're going to go and get the infibulation, and I end up counseling them, literally talking them through on Instagram. Mostly come from Instagram. Some are extremely well-known, influential young women who I'm shocked for them to come and ask me, can you be talking to me through while I'm going through this? I don't want my parents to know. No, yes, you can. And I end up talking to them through the recuperation period on how they're feeling and everything. It's been an amazing and a blessing for me to be part of journeys such as that one. Yeah.
you'll be making such a difference. And I know your relationship with your mum was difficult, but in the book you do explain how you did go on to forgive your mum. How did you reach
Yeah.
that place of forgiveness?
I think how I reached the forgiveness was I became pregnant for the first time. And when I did that, I just felt I can't be the mother I want to be. I will be a mom with a baggage, half mom. That's what I thought. I don't want to be half mom. I want a mom who's full, switched on, for her kids. And for me, that meant literally forgiving her because
Mm.
I needed to put that pain aside and just live life because I wasn't living life. I carried so much anger, so much rage in me, yet I didn't show it. And that is the worst way.
That's worse
for
because it's all
feeling.
inside
Yeah,
there, isn't it?
yeah. So
Imploding.
I did. I forgave her, but I didn't tell her that I did. I just kept that to myself for such a long, long, long years. I only told her that when she was dying. I didn't tell her before that.
Mm.
But I also saw how she wanted to emulate the relationship she had with me when I was younger, with my daughter, when I had the daughter. She really wanted, I could see how much. I could see as if she was asking for forgiveness. by,
Okay.
showing how loving and caring she is and she was when I was little, and how I actually forgot that. And she reminded me I actually did have mom before all these things, and she was amazing. So I
Yeah.
kind of forgave her 100% after that, and cruelly, cruelly was taken away before she could see what I do today.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think now she would be very proud, and
I
sadly,
think
it
she
was
would.
her conditioning and her belief system that made her think it
Yes.
was the right thing to do because that's what you did.
I felt sorry for my mom because this is where she grew up with. She grew up with that mentality. She did not have any choice in it. She couldn't have any choice in it. And for me, I feel sorry. I felt sorry for her afterwards. As becoming a mom also opened my eyes more on how sometimes we make decisions that necessarily not good for our family, but we think it is. So for her, it wasn't only a decision, but it was a collective decision from her mother, from family members. It was something that all the females were expected to do. So for her, she did not have choice in doing that because she lived in a community where 100% that was happening. And if you didn't do that, you actually condemn your daughter to social death, which is no marriage, nothing accepted in the family, basically segregated. So I do understand where she was coming
As a
from.
mum myself, I can only imagine to put my daughter through that would be traumatic for me as well. So it's
Of
double
course,
trauma, isn't it? It's not
of
just the trauma
course,
for you,
I'm
your
pretty much
mum to
sure
live with it.
she was in pain. Otherwise, when she was asking me to forgive her, she wouldn't have asked if she wasn't in pain. She said that she knew I was in pain. She acknowledged that I was in pain, and I'm glad she got to
And,
see
and
that
did
actually
that
I
help
was. Yeah, I
that she
think it did.
acknowledged?
I think it did because up to that point, I did forgive her before that, but I just thought that you didn't care or you didn't see my pain, but she did see my pain and she did feel my pain, and that was a comfort to know that.
But what is amazing to hear that once you became a mum, you made a choice
Yes,
to
I
change
made it.
your outlook and to be the best mum that you can be. And I know you are a mum, an amazing mum with your kids.
I
Uh,
I I love my daughters. My daughters just are like unbelievable. So are my boys. But my daughters is I have a different relationship where I look at them as my pride and joy because I see them as, no one in our bloodline, no one in my bloodline will ever know that. For me, that is massive. That is
what
massive.
did they think about you speaking out and sharing your
They
story?
are amazing. They are amazing. My younger one, I went to her school and did an FGM just before COVID. And I ask every school when I'm in there, I need a feedback from the students and I need a written one. And she was one of the classmates and she wrote, and it was a beautiful, I think I shared it on Twitter. What
Oh,
she wrote was really, really beautiful. She said, I knew, we discussed this a million times and everything, but nothing prepared me on how you teach us today. That was amazing, and I'm proud to be your daughter. So
no,
it kind of made
beautiful.
me really cry.
No.
But it was just they're very supportive. They're extremely, extremely supportive. I'm proud on what I do.
Yeah, so they should be very proud of you too. So we're nearly at the end here. So I just want to ask you, what are your tips for how you are now thriving in life, where you've got to, or if anybody's listening that's,
Yeah.
what
Well,
advice would you give to someone?
advice is whatever you're going to do, when you're going to be in public eye as an activist, you're gonna have to have a thick skin,
Mhm.
really thick skin. You're gonna have to learn to use your language in a sensible manner. When you're angry, you can use your language really horribly. You're gonna have to learn how to give responses that are measured. You're gonna have to learn how to channel your anger, most importantly, into positive thinking, and most importantly, you're going to have a passion on what that you're going to fight for us
You
and for
recognize
you.
your responsibility now. It's almost like this is your purpose to serve other people, to shatter that
Exactly,
silence and that shame.
exactly, exactly. As you and I know, Madeleine, and I follow you, you're an amazing, amazing human being. Is we are always careful on how we respond, even if we are attacked. You have to be very careful on how you respond to that person. For me, I developed something. You attack me, I just go mute and block. Bye
No,
bye.
I just block
I am
them.
not
It's much easier.
I don't have energy time to spend it with you. I
So,
just move on. But you become also a role model. A lot of young women and men are looking up to you, and what you say and how you say it is very, very
and
important.
I'm
So
pleased you mentioned the men because it's important to educate the men. And I'm sure a lot of men, once they really understand what you go through, they don't want you to go through that.
I'll give you an example. Yesterday morning, I had a chance to talk to a school called Mosborn. They got in touch and they were like, "Oh, it's difficult time, this and that. We would love for you to come in, but this and that." And I said, "Okay, I have got nothing to lose. I'm coming." So I went, and what I didn't know was I was going to be given 2 sessions. One session was 30 minutes to talk about my activism work and what does that mean. And the other 1 hour was to actually give them a full sense of FGM, which I did. And afterwards, we filmed them, which will come out soon. And one of the young man, I asked him and I said to him, what do you think the role should, men's role should be this? And his answer was absolutely blew me away. And he's only 16. Yeah, he blew me away by saying that, well, we need to change how male view women's body and how male look at female and have thoughts of desire rather than looking at a human being and, valuing that human being. They value what's on her and how she looks like and what can I do with her rather than not looking the intelligence of what this person can. I'm looking at them thinking, are you 16 really, or are you just old person in young body's mind? So boys are extremely important, and we need boys to understand that on women are not born for you. Women are born as a human beings. And when you value that and when you see the potential in them, you're going to stop abusing and you're going to stop, putting women in one bowl of they are women, they're good for giving birth and they're good for sex, they're good for this and that. We're much more than that. We are human beings just like you that can accomplish anything just like you given the chance.
I think that is a fantastic place to end our interview, Hibo. So I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to me today.
Thank you for having me.
And
And
keep on shining.
can I just say I love you so much. I love you so much. You're amazing, amazing sister of mine, and I'm so grateful you're in my life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unbroken, the podcast, with Madeleine Black, playing now on all the main platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher for Android, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and here. Play Unbroken, the podcast, with Madeleine Black.